Okay, here we are. We are at the meat. We are at the meat of this topic. So we know why follow-up is important. We know that it's not actually scary anymore because we're really just continuing our conversation, and that we know that our methods of communication are really important and that we're enticing them into that conversation rather than word vomiting on them. But now we have to have a process. We have to have a system in place on how to do it. That is what this is all about. Okay, I don't want you just like shooting darts. I don't want you just like, follow up. Like, we're going to have a system for this. Does that surprise you? It really shouldn't surprise you. Here's the good news. What did we say at the very first video? The average bride buys her dress within 2 weeks of that first time that she goes shopping. This has a time limit on it, guys. We gotta follow up with these brides. We have to stay relevant because that average bride is done within 2 weeks of whenever she started. Okay, are you gonna have you're listening right now, and I know there's a few of you out there that are like, well, Janice, I had a bride who came back in and it was like 4 months later. Those brides that are getting married and 2 years from now, like they came in, it was like 4 months later and they still bought the dress from you. Absolutely. Absolutely, there are always outliers to this, but the average bride buys her dress within 2 weeks of going shopping. So we put a time limit on this follow-up process, and we follow it. And we know, just like everything else, it's not going to work for everybody, and that's okay. But what did we do? We provided a consistent communication method. We provided consistent customer service. We provided the same experience to all of our brides, and that is important. That is key. So you're going to head into your downloads now. You're going to head right on over there, and you are going to download, because guess what I made for you? I made for you a follow-up procedure document. So you're going to get over there, you're going to download it, and you're going to print it. I'm going to wait right here for you because we are going to walk through that document. That's the whole rest of this thing, is we're going to walk through it together because I want you to be looking at it as we talk about it. So I'll wait here. I'll just, do. Okay, I told you I was serious about the fact that I wanted you to go get that download. So yes, I even stopped the video for you for all of those that were out there and they were like, nope, I'll just keep listening. I want you to go get that download. Okay, so anyway, let's keep going. It's fine, let's keep going. So the rest of this is we're gonna walk through this document. Why? Because I believe in it. I believe in it for multiple reasons. I believe in it because it provides a system and a process for you. So you're going to provide a consistent customer service experience. It also helps the expectations of what you expect of your staff members. If it is clearly laid out what your expectations are, then it becomes clear that your expectation is that they follow what you have laid out for them. So it helps everybody. It helps absolutely everybody. So we're going to walk through this together. Now, you have a POS system and you want to go automated, great, go automated. Or maybe you want to go automated, you want to have a blend, you want to have the paper and you want to have it automated just so that way you have the checkpoints in all the places. Great. You can build this as a smart flow in Bridal Live. You could build it as an automated system in BBL Everywhere Bridal. You can do that, but we're going to start by looking at the paper copy here. So what we're going to do, super simple. Bride's name, her appointment date. What were her favorites? What did her favorite dresses? What were the 2 dresses that she was down to or the 1 dress that she was down to? Did she have any accessories that were her favorites that were in here that we want to just take note of? The next section, the notes section. This is not necessarily for you to write down absolutely everything that happened in this appointment. This is for you to glance at and go oh, right, this is what I can touch point, with her about. This was the thing that was stressing her out in her wedding planning. This is the thing that she just still needed to find in her wedding planning. Mom wasn't with her because mom lives in the North Pole and wasn't going to be around, and she didn't know when she was going to be around again. So, she is graduating medical school next week and she has finals next week. She has, whatever the case may be. And so these are the things that I could grab and be oh, right, okay, yes. This is where I'm going to continue the conversation. That's the point of the notes. I'm going to pull this out and be this is where I'm going to continue the conversation, okay? Those are your notes. You've got a space for the outcomes of follow-up, because what's going to happen here, right? What's going to happen? This process that you're going to walk through is honestly assuming that she's not responding to you, okay? That's what this is assuming. This is not trying to be negative Nelly here, but this process is about the fact that she didn't respond to you. So it's up to you at one of these, whenever she does respond to you, you have to then take it and do the next step to it. So this outcomes area is those times where you get that response. So that way it can be in there. And that way you can adjust accordingly. She does schedule that next appointment, then it goes up here. So that way if you're flipping through your file, you know like, oh right, she has her next appointment scheduled. Okay, so that's how we're gonna use that. We flip it to the back. We flip it to the back. It's a front and back page thing because we wanted to have plenty of room for those notes and those outcomes. So we flip it to the back and we have our actual flow. And you're gonna notice there's quite a few touch points in here. And it might feel a little overwhelming to begin with. And it does kind of feel like a lot, but it's a process. It's a system and it's a process. And once you get into it, it's not hard because in some ways you don't even have to think about it. You just know, you just get to move on to the next thing and move on to the next thing. So the first thing that we're gonna do, and I just, oh guys, I think it's so important. Write her a thank you note. Get out an actual envelope and note card and handwrite her a thank you note and sign it and send it to her in the mail. Write that girl a thank you note for coming in to see you, for trusting you, for sharing this part of life with you, for sharing something that was going on in her life, for opening up to you, for whatever it may be. Write that girl a thank you note and get it out in the mail and do that within 24 hours of her appointment. If this needs to be a task that gets added, you don't get to leave for the day until your thank you notes get done, whatever it may be, write this girl a thank you note. It's important, do it, okay? Then text her. Now, this is the first touch point. I'm telling you to text her, okay? Now, do this first one actually as her preferred method of contact. So if she wanted you to call or she wanted you to email, switch this one to her preferred method of contact. I'm saying text because in my store, text is the number one by far that we have brides ask us or say is their preferred method of contact. So if you didn't get a preferred method of contact, it's safe to assume that this is a solid way that you could go. So we are gonna make sure that we text her. This is simple. Guys, hop back over the other page in your download, use the script. Simple. You just wanna entice her into a conversation. It's simple. Just go grab that download, use that script, just entice her into a conversation. This should be done within 2 days of her appointment. Then we're gonna move into a phone call connection. So we gotta actually call her. This is the one that like makes you start like getting hives and like, okay, I gotta call her. Like, right? Like do your power pose, right? Power pose it, grab that phone, and then give her a call. What's probably gonna happen, she's probably not gonna answer her phone. So guess what? We gotta go over into the script as well, and we gotta use that script, and there you go, and your phone call is done. But the point of this phone call is to connect with her. The point of this is that you're gonna flip it back over. This is your first opportunity in this phone call to be able to grab one of those things, to be able to grab that like, oh, this is what's stressing her out. Oh, this is the thing that she still needs to book. Oh, this was the situation with her mom. Oh, this was just the situation in her life. This is the opportunity to grab that connection point and to continue the conversation, okay? That's what the phone call is about. We're just doing that. We're just continuing that conversation. It is not scary. That's all we're doing, okay? That's it. It's okay. We have a great reason. We have great information. We have something that's gonna help our brides. We want to help our brides. That's all we're doing in this phone call is we're helping our brides. And then we're gonna have a conversation with her. And then yes, right? Yes, we are gonna say, oh, and by the way, how are you feeling about everything here? But that's all we're doing. We're helping her. We're helping the bride. That phone call should happen 4 days after her appointment. That's whenever that touch point is gonna happen. Next thing, we're gonna email her. This one's gonna be a quick one because we're gonna email her just 5 days after her appointment. In that email, we're gonna give her something that's helpful. We're gonna give her something that's beneficial to her. So we're kind of coming off script here a little bit. This is something, you could do this, you could get very personal, you could have the email be, it could be the same thing as that phone call, especially if she didn't answer. It could be just continuing that, but I really do recommend in your store that you get some things together that you could just use in this area. So whether it be a timeline for dressing your wedding, so all the different things to think about as far as dressing yourself and when you should buy and your accessories and your maids and your guys and your alts and all of these things. Like maybe it's a timeline for that. Maybe you have some kind of budget tool that you found that you really, really love, and you put together a thing and you send them that. Maybe it's just, maybe you've done this like preferred vendor list and you've put that together of recommendations that you guys just have in a general sense. Like the options are endless, right? The options are just absolutely endless. So it's a wedding. So do that. Maybe it's like invitation etiquette. I mean, seriously, like the options are endless. I would recommend in your store that you've put together a couple of things that you could kind of pick and choose from that you're going to send out to your brides in this email. So this is kind of like unsolicited help. So this is just, hey, like we've got this resource. I, thought it would be helpful for you. I just wanted to help. I just thought maybe it would help, kind of thing. So, right, we're serving them on a different level. So we're going to do this about, like I said, 5 days after. So I know I just called them yesterday and I'm emailing them today. It's okay. It is okay. It's okay. It's okay. So then we're going to do a text check-in. This is simply a check-in. This is simply like, I just want to make sure that you received my stuff. Like I left you a message and I sent you an email. It's got some really great information in it. Plus I've got some great information for you, and I just want to make sure you got it. That's all it is. Like I just want to make sure you're getting the stuff that I'm sending you. That's all that we're doing in a text check-in. We're doing that 7 days after her appointment. Okay, now is when the conversation starts to change. Things start changing at this point in the conversation. So the next touch point is 10 days after her appointment, and it's another phone call. And it's a little like, oh, okay. If we've made it to 10 days after her appointment and we're really not getting responses from her, it's probably pretty safe to assume that the dress with you isn't just like, I have to have that dress. It's probably safe to assume that somewhere in there she lost her love for it, or she found something else that she really liked, or whatever the case may be. There's a budget changed, or budget realities hit, or whatever the case may be. It's safe to start assuming that by 10 days after the appointment, if she has not contacted you back after these follow-ups. So it's time to start to change that conversation. So how we're going to do that is, it's probably time to entice her to come back in a different way. It's time to start saying things like, I was going through our stock, and I've got a couple new ideas for you that I think you just might love. Or we just got this new dress in, and like instantly I thought of you. It's time to start changing the conversation and enticing her in a different way to connect with you. So I want to show you, like, I want to see how you feel about these. Like, that is enticing. That's enticing. So, right, I was enticing in a different way before. I want to help you with a wedding thing, but now I'm enticing in a different way. I'm changing the conversation. I'm changing the narrative here a little bit. Okay, so I'm enticing them into a conversation still, but I'm doing it in a pretty specific way because I know this much time has passed. I haven't heard from you. I need to get you excited on a different level. So I'm going to call her in that way. I'm going to do that, like I said, 10 days after the appointment. Then I'm going to text her. We're starting to move to the end of this. We only have one more after this one left, because I'm going to text her about 13 days after her appointment. So we're super close to that 2-week mark, right? I'm going to text her. And again, I just want to make sure. I want to make sure you receive my voicemail, because I've got some really exciting ideas for you that I think you would love. And I wanted to make sure you got it. Okay, this is also the time, if you want to think about in your store, if you want to have some kind of incentive for coming back in, now could be the time to introduce that. So if you want to have an incentive at some point, now would be a good time to kind of say, like, you know what, I talked with the owner. She's willing to do a 10% off if you come in before the end of the month, because I noticed some dresses that were just outside of price range that I think you would fall in love with. And so I talked with the owner, and she's willing to do this to make sure that you end up in the dress that you love. Okay, that could be an opportunity to do some kind of incentive offer for coming back in if that's something that you want to try. So that would happen now. That's happening 13 days after appointment. It's time for the final one, which is going to be an email. So we are going to do kind of that one last checkpoint. Hey, you know, like I'm going through my files or whatever the case may be. I was going through the calendar of the month, ran across your name. I wanted to reach out to you because I hadn't heard back from you. And I really do just want to know how I can best help you. This is going to happen 17 days after her appointment with you. What happens next? It's okay to consider this a dead file. Okay? You are not a failure. It happens to all of us. 100% of your brides are not going to buy because you did a pre-sale process and an in-store customer service experience, and 100% of your brides are not going to respond to a follow-up process either. I promise you that you will hear back from brides, from most of the brides, but you will have a few that you have to consider a dead file. Here are the 2 things that I want you to know. You are not a failure, and even if they bought somewhere else, that's a win, okay? Even if in this follow-up process, their response to you is, thanks so much, and I found a dress somewhere else, you know, like that's a win. That is a win, you know. You don't have to keep chasing them. You don't have to keep wondering, are you gonna hear back from them? You know. Also, it gives you an opportunity, and I'm going to tell you this isn't on the form. We're kind of done with the form now. You can put it away. It's fine. You can keep looking at it if you want to, but you know that they bought somewhere else, and you get the opportunity to ask them. You get the opportunity to get excited for them and to ask them for a picture. I love looking at pretty things. I would love to know. I'd love to know what you found, what you loved, what you fell in love with. That's an okay thing to ask, and it gives you a whole lot of good market research for yourself, right? Are you missing a certain style in your store? Whatever the case may be. So this is all good things. These are all good things. They're all helpful. I do recommend coming back to the download if you want to grab it again. I do recommend at the very beginning of this process, go ahead and put in all those due dates. You know what they're going to be, just so that way they're done. Make sure you're putting in those completed dates, just so that way you're tracking what you've done and what you haven't done, in case you're sick one day and someone else needs to pull out your file and know whether you've done these things or not. It's a great tool to use. It's going to be so helpful. You're not a failure if you get to the end of this and it's a dead file. You've done a great service to this bride. You've done great things. This is going to help them. This is going to help you. This is going to help your staff. It's important. It's awesome. Do it. Love it. Put it into place today. Start the process and see what it does for your business.